One of the first things I tell potential clients if they're really looking into hiring us as their social media manager is if you can do it in-house and do it effectively, do it. And that might be weird coming from someone who literally owns a marketing firm. But truly, I believe I always want to do what's best for the client. And if social media can be done really, really well in-house, then it is the best, most authentic way to do so. So today I really want to go over, talk about helping founders and marketing leads really think critically about their social media support. And, I do that because this is the Unearthed with Shelly Hughes podcast. I'm Shelly Hughes. In this episode and in this podcast, we talk about all the good, the bad, and the ugly of entrepreneurship and marketing. We talk about the lessons learned. We talk about, wins, losses, and celebrations of growing profitable and passionate brands. So let's talk about why in-house social media should and could be the gold standard of your social media marketing. First of all, you have to think, is social media marketing really how our customers buy? And not every not every single business out there needs a social media platform. They really don't. Before I go into selling a service to a client, I really take a step back and say, do you really need that? Because marketing only becomes overhead if the tactic that you're doing is completely outside the realm of how your consumers engage with you. So, for example, if we're talking about digital ads, right? The client really wants to do Google ads, right? Because they've heard from another entrepreneurial friend or another business owner friend that their Google ads do really, really well. Like, okay, let's say this company sells purple elephant lollipops. That's their product, right? Google ads are really great if someone is actively trying to find a product. So if I'm typing in something like women's high-waisted jeans, for example, I'm searching for that product actively, right? Or I'm searching for, laptop computer that's great with creative software. I'm actively searching for that product. If you own a business who is selling purple elephant lollipops, people don't even really know that exists. And they don't know that they need it yet. And so we just did this for a client actually yesterday. We're still, at the very end of May, but we did this yesterday for a client, where we went through the entire customer journey of, their audience. And a customer journey is a little bit different than like a sales pipeline. It's similar, but it's different. A customer journey is like a sales pipeline, except it's put in the perspective of the customer and kind of flipped horizontally to see, okay, what is the emotional experience and the physical experience that a potential client gets or has to go through to go from hearing your name for the first time to being a retaining and referring client or customer. And so if we know that people aren't typing in, you know, purple elephant lollipops, then using Google Ads doesn't make a lot of sense because it's a very much more active way to engage someone, that they're actively trying to find a solution versus passively, oh, that's a really cool lollipop. I should probably buy that. And that would be something like using meta ads or something similar. It's the same with any type of service. So that's why we don't sell services here at Nolia Roots. We figure out what is the problem and what is the biggest gap in your customer journey before we really even give you a recommendation of like, I'm not just going to take your money and be like, oh, you definitely need Google ads because that's what you said you wanted, because you're going to lose, I'm going to lose, and then we're going to look bad. So it doesn't even make sense for us to sell a service. I'm trying to sell you, I'm trying to, sell a solution to your problem that's going to make you buku bucks. That's the whole point, or else marketing is just overhead. But if we understand that, yes, social media is how your audience buys, that's kind of the nurturing element of your customer journey is social media. Awesome. Social media content that comes directly from inside the firm or the company really is more real, it's more personal, and it's more timely. we cannot live, an agency or a firm cannot live in your company, right? They can't, or else it would be very, very expensive for, an agency to do your social media. It's also really great, it would be the gold standard to internally manage your own social media well, of course, because team members can really capture moments on the fly. That's some of the most authentic stuff. It's also really great because, you do have more control over your voice and your tone and everything about it. And, so I really do encourage clients, like if you do feel like you can confidently take over your social media in-house, that's really the gold standard. But what we see is that a lot of people have tried to do it in-house before and it just breaks down very quickly. And that is why a lot of times they say, we know that social media is important for our audience. It's important for us to talk about our brand. We just need help. So, that's when a lot of times social media falls to the bottom of people's to-do lists, right? If a company can't hire someone full-time to do their social media, then it's always going to be the last thing on someone's to-do list. They're never going to want to post as much as they physically can and really be strategic about it as well, right? There's typically no clear plan about it. It's just posting to post, and it's very reactive posting instead of proactive posting and having a reason behind everything. We don't just post to put stuff out there. We post for a reason. A lot of times there can be inconsistent voice, branding, engagement. It might be mediocre graphic design, for example. And then there's a lot of burnout and fatigue when your social media girl that is also, might do something else in the company says like, oh, I have to get something out today. And then it has to get approved. And then then leadership has to do quick turnaround approvals and just no one's happy. So a lot of times that is why someone reaches out to us. So what does social media management look like? A lot of times people might think that our social media management, pricing is expensive and like, yeah, yes, it is. And it's expensive because we never want social media to be overhead. I know a lot of agencies out there that does social media for clients, and you're like robbing them blind. It's cheaper for sure, but it's not engaging. It's just putting graphics out there. It's not. Social media is very much you either pay to play or you play by their rules. And so if you're just doing the same thing over and over again and you're doing only educational content and you're just putting stuff out to put stuff out and it's really not playing with the algorithm and playing with, what these platforms want you to utilize, even if you're only paying $600 a month for someone to manage your entire social media, all the platforms, you're wasting $600 a month because social media then becomes overhead, right? So what we do, we have a few different phases when it comes to our social media management. So first is of course social media strategy, and we go really, really granular on this. We understand, okay, I talked about the content pillars before, right? I talked about how pillar one is about demand generation, just like top of the sales pipeline. Pillar two is demand conversion. That's really converting those people and talking about your sales and things, your services and things like that. And then it's brand loyalty and advocacy. And that talks about more about who you are, and upselling it and things like that. We are very, very intentional about creating content pillars, not as themes, but really as, bringing people down that sales pipeline and understanding, okay, where are people coming to us on social because they want to get to know us and maybe they met us somewhere else? Are they coming to us on social because, we really don't have good brand awareness and we're utilizing social media as a tool for brand awareness? And again, that's going back to in our customer journey, where's the biggest gap? Like, where do we feel like we can improve the most? And so if a client thinks that they can improve the most and people just knowing who they are, so really the beginning of that customer journey, we'll probably do a lot of pillar one content that is very much, trending and viral and getting people's attention and, talking about the unique value proposition, really ruffling some feathers. And, because the more you ruffle feathers, the more it will attract, and putting content out there that is just trying trying to get the most eyeballs that we can to then come to follow us, and then we'll be able to nurture them. So the first thing is being really intentional with our social media strategy. From there, we use Monday.com to plan everything out. So we plan everything out based on what type of post it is. So we understand, okay, are people really like, first of all, it depends on the platform. So let's just stick with Instagram, but we do a lot of LinkedIn for clients as well. And we do a lot of articles over there and events posting and stuff like that. But Instagram, I think, is the most, universal right now. We'll do a variety of different kinds of posts, and we'll kind of understand based on really what the goals are, what percentage of pillar 1, pillar 2, and pillar 3 content we want to put out there. All that information, and it's all organized on Monday.com and kind of that calendar view, so that we just know, okay, what does the next 90 days look like for social media content? From there, we plan a content VIP day for the client. So we will create a shot list based on the content, obviously pre-approved. We'll create a prop list. We'll order props. We've done things where, it was Valentine's Day and we ordered, a Cupid costume for a client because it went along with, a very trending post for Valentine's Day. And so we'll do all of that kind of stuff. We'll bring all the equipment. We'll send a call sheet before. We'll have everyone there that needs to be there. We'll take 3 hours of your time and essentially record 90 days of content. We do recommend that in between, we will also post stories about announcements and things like that and behind the scenes and things. But if we do recommend that clients, still take behind the scenes content on the day to day. So we take care of the posts and a little bit of the stories, but really the magic, and we take care of the engagement and stuff like that. But really the magic comes in like the little things, behind the scenes on the day to day. But we capture 90 days of content, mainly in reels and things like that. So we will then edit all the reels. We will design all the graphics. We will create all the stories that we're going to create. We will create all the carousels in the graphic design. And then in Monday.com, you can also separate each of these posts by group. So they kind of have a publish date, but they also are separated by group. So you can see how these social media posts go down this kind of Kanban style of, okay, this is ready for VIP day. This post is now in production. It's moved to, internal approval. So, leadership is approving everything before it goes to the client. Then it's internally approved. It goes to the clients. The client can look at anything that they want to and approve things. And it just goes down this pipeline, and it's just super, super clear on where everything is and how far out we really are with the social content. It's really social media, when you outsource it to someone and a partner who really understands it, it becomes more than just overhead. It really becomes a larger marketing engine, really to help with offers and launches and, community, etc. The other thing that we really say that you have to do for social media is that engagement piece. And the engagement isn't just, responding to the DMs. It's not a reactive engagement. It's a proactive engagement. So how can we utilize lead generation, in our engagement strategy? How, some of our clients, their main audience are small business owners. So in our engagement strategy, we actively go out and try to follow and engage with small business owners, just to let them know, hey, we exist. Send them different articles that we do, like, hey, I think you would like this. I think you would enjoy this. So it's kind of gaining those specific people we want to follow us and really nurture. So how do you choose the right partner? Right? I think first you want to find someone who, listen, if someone is a social media, if someone owns a social media agency and that's all that they do, they're going to sell you social media. I'm going to tell you that you might not need social media. Let's actually figure out what you need. And can we figure out how to do this in-house? So I'm not saying don't go to a social media specific niche down agency. I'm just saying they're not going to challenge you to tell you that, you do not need social media management. Look for someone who really gets your values. Look for someone who asks you really interesting questions. Look for someone who, again, isn't selling you a service and, not really understanding and digging deep into what it's all about. Look for someone, ask about their workflow. What does that workflow look like? Does it make a lot of sense to you? What is going to be your time commitment? Because that's another thing that people, clients often don't think about is they are going to be if they're the spokesperson for the company, they might be showing up a lot on social media. And if they don't want that, that's something that has to be really clearly explained before anything goes on. You really want to make sure someone has transparent communication, is very data driven. So we might have a social media strategy, but we check in at the 90-day mark and at the 6-month mark to say, hey, do we have to change up our strategy? Because we see that, okay, this person who shows up on camera always does the best. Let's bring her in more. Or, we see that stories convert really well to our website if we put the link sticker in there. Okay, let's do more pillar 2 demand conversion content on our stories. So make sure you always find someone who's really data driven. And here's the thing about, if you think that you need someone local to actually, you want people to come to your company and shoot content and all that kind of stuff. It's more, you do want someone local, right? But if you think, hey, I really don't even want my face in the content, I want it to be more, mindset stuff. Maybe it's more podcasty style. You don't necessarily need an agency or firm to be local to have them manage your social. So keep that in mind too. You don't, the other thing is you don't want them just to be a content robot. Just get stuff out there, right? Like I said in the beginning, there's a lot of agencies out there that they won't charge you a lot of money, but really what they're putting out is ChatGPT led, and it's really not doing anything for you. So I don't think of social media management as a must-have for everyone in every stage of their business. But I think there's a time that it's done right, and it's a time that it's done well. And it's a time where if you don't want social media to be overhead anymore, that's a time to find the right firm to help you really get over that hump and make sure that, social media is really used to help you grow your business. Those are my thoughts about social media. If you like this episode, please rate and review, share it on social, share it with someone that you think, would benefit from this. And here's the thing, if you need social media help, call me. I'm going to be the one to tell you, no, you don't. You can do it in-house, or I'm the one that can point you in the right direction, if anything else. Or I can say, hey, we would love to have you as a client. We would love to help you really grow your social media and make it something that's more than overhead. So thank you so much. And I'll talk to you guys soon.